What's going on, guys? It's Steven Mandak, aka Mr. Clutch, on the Moving Forward podcast, where we talk about moving forward in business and in life. And today, we're going to be talking about the state of my company and where I'm currently at. So, as we're talking today is July 19th, 2024, basically halfway through the year. And I want to say that we're having a really good year. This year is going to be our best year thus far. And we're actually running a smaller team than we ever have. And I owe a lot of my successes to learning, also increasing our pricing drastically by about 30%, and now just having a really, really strong operational team. But there's always things that we have to overcome during the year. So the last couple of months, which was June, July, we were pretty much slated to do really big numbers. So to put in perspective, we were slated to do $600,000 in rev. Every single one of the months prior, we were hitting all of our goals, and we're killing our goals that we're doing or what we're shooting for. This year we had shot for $4 million, but in every single month we were on track to hit $4 million until it came to our June month, where pretty much everything kind of just fell apart. And then also in July, I thought things were going to come back, but everything fell apart. So, want to go ahead and dive deep on why I think the last couple of months pretty much fell apart. Well, in June, first things first was that I don't think that my sales reps were ready, I should say, to take on that much volume. And also, they weren't the best closers. They didn't have the tools, they didn't have the correct training to be able to book that much. In June, we ended up finishing, I remember that one of my sales reps, they had a 10% booking percentage. And then also my on-site estimator had a very low booking percentage as well too. And he was consistently having very low booking percentage, also with one of my sales reps as well too. So that had to do with definitely not us even getting close to our goal. And also, we kind of fell off on a lot of our marketing campaigns. So we do a lot of cold outreach, and we kind of stopped doing the cold outreach because we had a lot more inbound leads coming in. But the crazy thing was that we weren't closing any of the inbound leads. Not to mention, in the month of June, my sales marketing manager, she was out for 2 weeks. So, all of that kind of bottled up all together, kind of pushed us back and held us back. So coming into the month of July, I was like, man, there's got to be some changes that needs to be done. So coming in July, I made some major changes. I made it a point to really, really hone in and focus on my sales process. What I came to find out was that my sales process and also my sales team, just listening to them over the phone and, having my one-on-ones with my sales team, my sales manager, my estimator, they weren't cut to be, sales people and just really go after that job, going after, the bookings. They weren't really pushing the envelope to move forward and book the customer. So I had to make a decision, and, really diving back deep in there and really taking a look at what was being said over the phone and how the estimates were being processed. I had to make a decision that I had to part ways. I had to part ways with my on-site estimator. I had to part ways with one of my sales reps. And then I made a hire in June, and for some reason, she disappeared. That's a little bit, we'll talk about that a little bit later, but those were some of the things that I just recently dealt with within the past month and a half. So, I have no problem doing that because I want A players all around me, right? And A players want to be around A players. And I think that they weren't A players. I think that they meant good, but they just weren't salespeople, essentially. We gave them feedback. We gave them, the tools. We gave them the process. We gave them how to properly close and everything like that. And it just didn't get by to them. They just didn't have the hunger. They didn't have the sales skills, the tonalities, or anything like that. So we had to part ways, which was, I think, the best thing that happened for the company. The reason why is because now that I go back into the sales process, because right now I'm pretty much covering the rest of the sales. And now that I go back in there, I was able to kind of tweak some things and be able to really look down and redial down the sales process. So pretty much a restart. So I'm going to be doing a couple of different things now. So I just recently hired 2 more sales reps and one on-site estimator, 1 sales rep. And the thing is, with a sales rep, I actually hired the sales rep, which is over the phone, here in this office. Well, they're going to basically be here stationed in this office. And then, my on-site estimator, they're still going to be here. But that was one of the major differences I did, because I was typically hiring sales reps virtually. I would have VAs. I had another sales rep in Iowa. And, it was a little bit harder for me to manage because, the only way that I could really communicate with them was through the phone, through Zoom, and listening to their calls for training purposes. So I made a conscious decision to say, hey, my sales booking percentage has been really, really low. Let me go ahead and hire some sales reps here in the U.S. and in my office to be able to manage them and track them and, train them a little bit better. So those were some of the major things that I had to go through within the past couple of months. And I want to say, when I had to make the decision and I had to pull them essentially from the company and then, part ways, I was feeling, I would say I was feeling more so, I want to say I was more stressed out to have to fill in that role and kind of help out with refilling that role. Because what that meant for me was that there was going to be more sales on my sales team, and I was going to have to cover. I was going to have to go ahead and do the on-site estimates, and I was going to have to, redo the process of, hiring salespeople and things like that. And I kept telling myself, like, I got to eat shit. And, I got to get back in the day-to-day and redo some of the estimates, take some of the sales calls. And I was saying that for a week before I knew that I had to get back on the field. But now that I've done that and I've hired my new salespeople, they're coming in next week, Monday and Tuesday. I'm very happy and thankful that I did that. The reason why is because I'm able to get back in the day-to-day, really able to see what works and what doesn't work. And what do I mean by that? I mean that were the goals that I was setting, were they too high? Was it my sales process that I'd given them, was it incorrect? Right? So I really started to question myself and really say, hey, am I giving these guys the wrong information to be able to be successful? So I went out, did some of the sales, took some phone calls, and an amazing thing happened. I was actually right. My sales process did work. The way I did on-site estimates did work. In a matter of 2 weeks, which was from the beginning of July all the way till now, I was able to book over $100,000 in revenue and still doing all of the other daily tasks that I needed to do to run my company. So it made me really understand and really justify my fire, or my parting ways, I should say, because it's possible to hit the goals that I want. It's possible to have the booking percentage that I want. It's possible to accomplish those goals that I set out for my team members to do. So it made me more comfortable because I had to start questioning myself, saying, hey, this is my third, fourth, fifth sales representative. This is my third, fourth estimator. Am I giving them the wrong expectation? Am I not coaching them correctly? But, it just made me realize that I need on my team, I need A players, and A players, they're hungry. They want to do more. And it's hard to find A players. So I think that having A players is just going to make my culture and make my team a lot stronger. What this has also done, this whole process and everything like that, it's also made me want to cross-train a lot of my team. So if anything like this was to happen, then we'd be completely covered. So the last couple of weeks, been training my operations manager, been training my dispatcher, just to do and understand how an on-site estimate works. So if anything was to happen, we'll be covered, right? And also, I won't be knocked off the task and the way of, I won't be stopped basically doing the task that I need to do, that I've been focusing on so much, to go back and fill in for my team members that we lose. And it's also good for my operations manager because I do want him to become my general manager for whatever location I put him at. So that was something that was really, really good that happened just recently. I mean, I looked at it as a negative because I'm like, oh my God, I got to go through this whole thing again. And I have to go ahead and do a bunch of estimates, and I got to take calls and everything like that. But looking back at it in the beginning of the month, I was dreading it so much, but I'm so happy that I got back into it and I just took it. I just ate it and I moved forward, and I realized so many things about my sales process. I realized so many things about who we really need to hire. I realized that the goals that I'm setting for my team members are definitely achievable, right? A 30-40% booking percentage is achievable, right? With the right person, I should say. So one thing that happened from all these parting ways with all these employees, and also my sales manager kind of being absent for 2 weeks, was that the employee morale definitely went down. People were worried, right? Some of my team members were worried about, am I next? It kind of keeps them on their toes, and people were kind of questioning, what's happening, what's going on, little things like that. Where is this company heading? And I'm very transparent with my team members. We talk about our revenue every single day. We talk about our bookings. We talk about how the company's doing, etc. So I think as far as on a financial standpoint, they weren't worried about that. They were more worried that if they didn't hit their numbers, we would have to part ways as well too. But, I had set forth and let my team know that, hey, we need A+ players on the team. And if you're not performing and hitting your metrics, that's telling me something about you. So if you need, so you should know yourself that if you're not hitting these metrics, if you're not hitting your numbers, then it may be a good idea to be able to part ways. Because as a business owner, as a company owner, you always want the best for your business, and you always want your best players where you don't have to handhold them or anything like that. So the employee morale definitely went down. But what I did was I pretty much went ahead and I told them that, hey, all you guys are doing great, which is everybody that's currently on my team right now. They're doing great. They're doing fantastic. But if any of my team members start to fall off, they know that the KPIs that we track them on are being held up. If they're not hitting their numbers, then they need to be accountable for that. And the way that they're accountable is that, they get written up or else they get to be parted ways with us. And that's the reason why we have these metrics and we have these numbers, because at the end of the day, if you're not hitting these KPIs and you're not hitting your metrics, then really what are you contributing to the company? You're just basically taking money from the company and not providing any value for the company. And that's how we kind of look at it. And that's kind of how we presented it to the company and our team members. But, I don't want it to be solely based on the metric, but the metric basically tells our employees that if they're doing their job or if they're not doing their job. So, with that being said, now that we have the new hires and now that we have, it's been a couple of weeks now since we had parted ways with some of the employees, and the employee morale, it was up and it was down, and I pulled some of my key team members and I had to let them know, like, hey, we're good, just keep doing what you guys are doing. If anything happens or anything like that, if like you guys, like when we have our one-to-ones with every single one of our employees, we pretty much break down on what they're doing and how they're doing. So, they'll know beforehand if anything was to happen. I think it was also a good thing because it just keeps everybody on their toes and also lets them know, like, hey, we're here to work. We're not here to fuck around. So, I mean, it was a good thing for the business because it keeps everybody on their toes, but it was a thing to take in for the morale of the company. But I'll take that anytime. How I look at it is if one of my business coaches told me a long time ago was that you're not going to have this one person weigh down the company and risk the jobs of however many employees you have, because let's just say you have this estimator that sucks and just can't book anything, and they're jeopardizing the job for 20, 30 other employees because they can't go out there and close the business, right? Because they're such a big key factor of how the business gets money. So you got to cut that finger to save your hand, right? So that's kind of how I look at it. So what does the future look like for us now? So we got two new hires, which I'm very excited for. And the rest of the year is, the economy is a little bit shaky. Very high interest rates. Our president just got shot in the ear. And I think that there's a lot of factors that comes into play when it comes to staying busy, right? Interest rates is one. And then also, your employees on how they're able to book with the sales. But the future looks really bright for us. I think that we're the strongest we've ever been as a company because we're able to do more revenue than we ever have with such a smaller team, and we have so many metrics that we're looking at to be able to run the company while I'm not here, operations to sales to warehouse, they all have metrics to basically hit on a daily basis. So as I move forward within the year, some of my top priorities. My top priorities is to have all of my KPIs for my sales team to be dialed in, right? Whether it's all the way to talk time to how many follow-ups they're doing a day, all those things. So that's one of my top priorities, to really systematically have my sales team sound, right? So I don't have to worry about what they're saying over the phone and everything like that. Right now, we currently have scripts and we have certain metrics that we're looking at, but I want my sales team to be super dialed in. And I think that bringing the sales team here in the office versus having them virtually is going to be a huge factor. Okay. Second, as I'm looking to scale to other locations, I have to have my processes down. So we've been working really, really hard on Trainual. And I actually just had a conversation with a process creation company. And they basically come into the business and they interview, your key players so you can understand some of the processes and the inefficiencies in the business. So that's another thing that I'm currently working on. And then the third thing that I'm working on is really, really doubling down on my personal brand and my social media. It's like another job to have a social media and have a personal brand and shoot YouTube videos and shoot podcasts like this, because it does take time. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy, it takes headspace. But now that I'm really, really taking a look at other companies, I'm really, really taking a look at other businesses and other industries. And the one thing that really differentiates people, or differentiates businesses, I should say, is their marketing, right? It's not about if you provide the best service. It's not about if you have the best people. It's about who knows you, right? It's about who knows about this company, how many people know about this company, right? And being known by many people and being that most known company, people are going to go to the most known company because so many people know that company. If nobody knows you, you can't sell them anything. So that's the reason why I've been focusing so hard on my social media and my personal brand, because I know that's going to pay off so much. It's going to pay off dividends in the future, because once more people and more businesses and everybody starts to know me and know who I am, it's going to be easier to do what I really want to do, which is I want to acquire more businesses, and I want to just come into people's businesses, acquire them, whether it's seller financing and little things like that. And when they see my personal brand, they're really going to know what I stand for, and they're going to really get to know me a little bit more. And I've seen so much results from just posting on social media, posting on YouTube, Spotify. So many people's been reaching out to me. There's so many connections that's happened so far from social media. So those are the three things that I've really, really, really want to dial in for the rest of the year. And I think my biggest goal for the rest of the year, or by the end of the year, is to acquire a business, which is going to be a moving company. That's the ultimate plan, and that's the ultimate goal. I want to acquire, a mid-sized moving company. When I say mid-sized, maybe 500,000 to $1 million. And I want to have that under my belt. And I really want to see how my processes work with that company that I acquire. So, yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at, where Clutch is at, where Mr. Clutch is at. And my head has pretty much been at, this year. And I'm happy about the strides that I've made this year. I'm happy where my company is at. And I'm really, really happy on who I'm becoming and who I'm developing to be, because, it takes a lot of time to develop a lot of good habits in business, whether it's financially, discipline, or anything like that. So really, really happy on where I'm getting to in life and in business.